gotta be. I ain't living in your fantasy, and I'll be real if it's the death of me. I'ma be who I gotta be, and I don't care who you pretend to be, cause I'll be real if it's the death of me.
Crack me up, man.
Hey, welcome to the podcast, Goliath.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Yeah.
First time. You want me to get into this though?
Yeah. You get into it if you want me to get into it, whichever one you wanna.
And I was actually I was looking into it, right, because I know a few people that work for HubSpot.
Ooh.
2 of 3 were impacted by the 7% layoff that they recently had. But have y'all heard about this? Like how HubSpot handled their layoff?
Okay,
so they had a 7% layoff. So you can imagine, right? They laid off 7% of their workforce. But listen to these conditions to their, the impacted employees. With the 7% layoff, this is what they had to offer to everyone that was affected. The severance, they say we'll pay 5-month severance plus an additional week for every year you've been with HubSpot, up to a total of 7 months of severance period. For managers, we'll pay out your bonus plus your standard bonus structure. Benefits, they will be extended through severance up to 5 months where possible. And they're still including access to their employee assistance program. Equity, we're accelerating vesting through April and removing the vesting cliff for employees who have been with us for under 6 months. They're allowing the employees to keep their laptops. Of course, they're going to wipe the data from their laptops remotely. They're offering career support. They're partnering with third-party programs to provide coaching, resume building, mentorship, and a talent directory. And then lastly, they are offering additionally one-on-one conversations with hiring managers and engagement managers for next steps and stuff like that. So that is like the most beautiful disaster I think you could possibly have. Like,
I've never heard of anything
that's crazy
that nice. I've heard of really nice severance packages, but that's like, hey, like we're trying to somehow take care of you.
So like if that was me, I'd be like, I don't even feel like I'm getting fired. Like,
yeah, that too. And I didn't want to be insensitive, but yeah, like that's like well taken care of. Like I don't even know like words past that. Like well taken
because like the first thing that happens when you get laid off is you think, what am I gonna do now? And you think, oh, I need to take actions. I need to have, a plan by tomorrow. That gives you some breathing room, some fresh air. And it gives you a little bit of clarity to make those conscious thoughts to, determine what you're gonna do next, because it's easy to find a job. It's not as easy to find a job, when you're not working. Like when recruiters are in talent managers, engagement managers, whatever, reaching out to you, it's easy. Like, okay, cool. Yeah. I think I'm interested in that versus you don't have a job. You don't have any money coming in, but you still got expenses piling up.
Yep.
Now you feel pressure. Now you stressed out. Now interviews aren't going well.
You just take anything too.
Yeah, so hey man, shout out to HubSpot for that, man. I think they setting the standard on that. I'm not saying every company can afford to do that, but like that's dope, man, because it's important to take care of people when you can. And they definitely showed that they care.
And I am curious on like how companies can take care of that. Like it's gonna probably be a stupid question. Maybe somebody doesn't have the answer, maybe somebody does. But like how do companies give severance when they're laying people off? Like, how do you have the runway to lay somebody off and give them, like most companies I know give like 3 months or something like that. I think it's probably close to the average. Mm-hmm. So how do you say, hey, like we got to let you go today, but we'll give you 3 months worth of pay? Like to me, I'm just confused on how that works, or why wouldn't they say like, hey, like we got to let you go in 3 months and we'll pay you to help you find a job, but like, in 3 months, you'll be gone. I don't know if they just think people won't work or they'll tarnish the company, but I feel like it should be like, hey, like we'll give you 3 months, but we're going to have to let you go.
Because it looks better on the books. Because if you're employed full time, your yearly salary counts towards the company's books. But if you let someone go, you only have to pay them that 3-month chunk. So if someone makes, for example, let's say like $100,000, if you only do 3 months, maybe that's like what, $3,000 or $4,000 on the books versus $100,000 in burn. And so that's why people. So it's because when you look at, I think how it works, and this is just my understanding. I could be completely wrong. But like why it's for instance, like if someone is looking to get acquired or you're looking to slim your business up,
Mm-hmm.
when you're going through like the financial like due diligence, you look at how much liability does the company have, how much burn. Every salary is burn. That's why people are the easiest thing to cut, because it looks bad against the books, because you have
So
to add up
you're saying
everyone's
that
yearly salary.
you're
So
saying
like
that once you give severance, it's like, hey, we cut it off now, and then the next month our documents, our statements look better. Is that what you're saying?
because you're yeah,
Okay.
you're removing the total cost of the salary against their like the books, like against
Okay.
a
So
balance sheet.
is it like
Companies have the money to pay out
yeah.
severance.
Mm-hmm.
Is it
It
like everybody gets like a standardized amount, or is it
usually
like
it's usually it's like we'll pay for like your next couple months, so like you get the
Mm.
same pay that you were. So
yeah, okay.
it's just companies do it differently. Like when I got laid off before, I only got my next month.
Mm,
Like so like they paid me out through the next month.
yeah.
Some companies, like I've had people in my network who were in higher positions who got an entire year's worth of severance. And
Wow.
then but they were like very very high up in a
Mm-hmm.
Fortune 500 large company. But
Mm,
I've also had people who, like what you said, you can get 6, 3, it depends on the company.
yeah.
But if a company doesn't have money to pay severance, like they probably don't have much money anyway. Like I think because companies always have cash on reserve. Like they always have. I feel like you can't operate if you only have like a week or a month ahead. Like
Yeah.
you know, like
Yeah.
you have to have more of a runway to actually operate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Facts.
So just the CFOs, the financial people are just that good at projections. They're like, hey, we have to cut this number because I guess it's probably like a budget sheet. You look at your
Mhm.
budget, you're like, hey, these many months we're ending up over our projection, so we got to cut. I guess that makes sense.
I think there's a lot of different factors that go into it too. Like depending on what the company wants to do. Like if you're trying to get acquired and you have investors looking at you or potential companies looking at you, like if you have so much debt and so much burn and you're not profitable, people you're like your buying price is going to be low, or your acquisition price is going to be low, etc. And so like that's why companies will make like a 10% layoff to
Mhm.
even out their debt to equity ratio or whatever.
It's wild, man.
Yeah, I mean
Um,
it's a business. It's
yeah.
That's
biz.
true. That's very true.
On the other side of that, I know Kenny, we wanted to talk about like being, loyal to your company and staying. Or how do you know when you want to stay or how long to stay at the company? Things
Yeah,
of that nature.
I think there's a
Um,
lot of this is a topic that I really enjoy because it's something that I've learned a lot going through it. I think it
mhm.
ties into passion as well. Like when do you chase your passion as a career, etc. Because you're always told passion, like if you're passionate about your job, you'll never work a day in your life. So chase something you're
Yeah.
passionate about.
Is that
Mm,
true?
But no,
Okay.
passion, like when we praise passion as a society, we reward privilege. You only hear the stories of passionate people who have a safety net. What about all the people who chased their passion
Oh,
and
yeah.
what about all the people who chased their passion and didn't make it? We
Yeah.
glorify all these CEOs, Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, like all these people who didn't graduate college, but they aren't in underprivileged positions where they can't afford to do that, right? But going back to like the loyal thing, I think when you feel like you don't have room for growth, or you've already met your ceiling and there's no opportunity to move upwards or learn anymore, I think that's when you need to be able to look elsewhere. And you have to be able to take the risk of, will I be like, if you're especially if you're unhappy too. I think there's two different roads in my mind. If you're unhappy or you feel stuck at your current job, they're kind of similar. Then I think you need to look elsewhere. And
Hmm.
you can't let the fear of what could be or what if stop you, because if you know in your heart you have a 0% chance of being happy at your current job, and there's a 50% chance or whatever at being happy at another role, that's more than zero. Like you have to take the leap,
mm,
especially
Interesting.
if you're not in a position to get, if you like if you have a job and you're stable in a sense, right? Like you can afford to look if it makes you happy. Like we spend so much of our time working that it's you're not doing yourself justice being unhappy at a role.
Yeah.
yeah. You know what that makes me think about, man? That makes me think about like military, and then also like government contracting jobs too, where uh you're kind of locked in your position. You know, there's no issue with, you know, being recession proof there. So I see a lot of people who are like with the fact that their position isn't going anywhere, they'll master the processes and, like, you know, their role, but at the same time they're not making any progress as far as like upskilling.
Yeah.
You know, so like they're super passionate about being the best at their job, but at the same time, like, if you ask them like what skills have you gained, you know, in a true like employees market, they can't really give you any. So like that's the concerning part, you know, to where almost being too devoted to a company to where you're like blinding yourself on like being the best of the best. I get to park in the employee of the quarter parking spot, you know, and like things like that. But at the same time, like blinded. So yeah, it's like, all right, can you tell me like 10 things that you did this year that's like marketable
Yep.
for yourself as an employee, as if you were, you know, in the talent pool right now? They'll give you like those some of those cliche, I hate to say it, terms, you know, I'm a hard worker, disciplined, leadership, you know. That's the position that I hate. And it took me a while personally to learn that. You know, I was at my old company for 6 years, and it took me up to the back end of that to realize like, oh snap, I need to like actually be like building up some marketable skills, because these like general things right here, like it's good background and experience to have, but I still need more to supplement this, you know. So that was huge for me. I was definitely real passionate about trying to be the best of the best, and I didn't realize, you know, that I was blinded. So
Yeah, that's a real good point to say that, like, like you gave a perfect example. So like for everyone who doesn't know government contract work, you pretty much have to either go through and, you know, be a part of the military, you have to apply, and like the positions are pretty like standard. Like there isn't much variability on like when it comes to resumes. This person came from this industry. It's like, hey, you know, I've met these qualifications, these certifications. I am allowed to have the job. Do I apply before somebody else or what? Like, I don't even know how much the interview process matters
right,
in things like this. You
right,
know, it's not the same. They don't take into account really your personality. It's literally based on the piece of paper. And then once you get that job, you're pretty much set. You put in for whatever jobs you want to. So it is extremely, like you said, recession proof and stable. And I know that a lot of people who have these government contract jobs, they know they are the subject matter expert for their tool, for their job, whatever it is. But literally, that is all they know. And they only learn more if the tool changes.
yeah,
They don't do it if like the industry or the world is changing. They only do it if the tool that they're using it changes.
like
And I know
almost like they're
somebody,
required to.
they are required to. So like think about this, and this is only for people who do want to grow, go lightly. So like that's something that like you said like everybody should learn these skills. By the
Yeah,
way, this is only for people that want to grow in their career, maybe want to make more money, have more skill sets, all that stuff. But if you don't want to grow, I just want to give you a story. I know somebody personally who had a job literally from the time that I was born up until like 20, like so 21 years, 22 years or something like that. They had the exact same job. They were the go-to. They knew that the technology changed, obviously, for 20 years or whatever. But then there came a point in time where technology changed so much that their job was like kind of obsolete. And this isn't like a automation like we've talked about before. Literally, just like you did, like, okay, let me put it out there. You know how you used to have like the librarians and stuff like that? They used to
mm,
like roll out the TVs, or when computers were first made, you needed a computer tech, you know,
yeah,
like on site because like it wasn't normal. So now we can call somebody for computer tech at Apple or Microsoft and they can troubleshoot right on the phone.
right,
So where does that person go who used to roll out the TVs? Because now we got TVs on the walls in school systems. Whereas a person that who is, you know, tech support on site, like for a school, like you don't need much of that anymore. So if you don't learn, if you don't get any more skill sets, then your job becomes obsolete. So that
yeah,
was a real good point. As for people who want to grow, just know that like you have to learn the industry and not just your job.
facts,
Yeah.
facts.
And it helps you that like just that basically helps you be recession proof or layoff proof. You have to like it sucks, but like you have to pick up valuable skills. You have to give your company value, right? Like
Yeah,
that's when people think about it. You're not just like, what, you know, like what does this person do? Like, and it stinks because in the process of you making yourself invaluable to a company or an industry, like you are learning skills and you are gathering your your credibility basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
And then like to
go
your
ahead.
point though, like it's not even there's nothing wrong with, you know, wanting to be the best of the best at what you do.
mhm.
And if you there's no real push at the end of the day, I guess, like no shame on you if you're not somebody who wants to skill up and be a lifelong learner. But the caveat is that, you know, sometimes like Kenny was saying, like it's just business. Like sometimes it's out of our hands. It's not that you didn't do, you know, your job to the best of your ability. It's just the business requirements changed and things shifted, and now, like, you know, you could end up in a position where your role is obsolete now.
Yeah.
You know, so that is the concern, or that is my area of focus, is like, okay, if I was to be fired tomorrow, what would I have to offer to a new employer? You know, so that's just something that I would have in the back of my mind. Nothing wrong with being the best of the best though at what you do, man, but
Yeah, which you
just some
should
reasons to upskill, just in case, you know.
Yo, thank you for tuning into the P.E.A.C.E podcast. You know, this podcast actually started off with 4 friends sitting around a table once a week. We were having conversations to educate ourselves about the world around us, talking about what we're dealing with day to day as regular people, and simply to self-reflect. So that's all that you're seeing us do here, and you're getting to see it live. So I challenge you to do the same thing. If you've made it this far, obviously something caught your attention. So get a group of friends and build a small community and start to join in the conversation. Like, these are tough conversations, these are fun conversations, but these are conversations that are needed to be had. In fact, I want to make it easy for you. If you're listening to this podcast at home, invite a friend over. Or maybe invite 2 friends over, 3 friends over, whatever it is. Turn your TV on, your computer, your phone, wherever you want to watch it, turn the podcast on, okay? And join in the conversation. If you're listening to this maybe on run, at the gym, you know, I get it. I do the exact same thing. But maybe you can share the link, clip the file or something like that, and just pose one of the questions that you heard here today. The point is to build community and to self-reflect. Oftentimes we don't vocalize the things that we need to work on, and that's one small way that I think that we can, you know, help improve ourselves, improve others, and most importantly, pursue excellence and cherish everyone. Thanks again for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. We'll see you again next week. Peace.